Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Putnam families. Hello, first graders. Today we're going to go over lesson 11.5 or two-dimensional shapes on three-dimensional shapes. So we're going to go over this together. We're going to look at some three-dimensional shapes and see what we can find. Let's dive right in. So the essential question today, what two-dimensional shapes can you see on the flat surfaces of three-dimensional shapes? And that flat surfaces part is really important. We'll talk about that. So listen and draw. Lee places a cone on a piece of paper and draws around its flat surface. What did Lee draw? So a cone, right, is this shape here. I know it's not a perfect cone, but let's look at it. The other one comes to a point. I'm, doing the best I can, just like everybody is. But so this cone, what shape do we see on the flat surface? Now we define a flat surface. If I put this cone down, right? If I put it down and it doesn't move when I touch it, that means it's on a flat surface. The only flat surface that this cone has, right, is right here as its base. And that, what shape is that? What shape is that surface? That surface is a circle, right? So I'm going to get my magic little pen here. And I'm going to draw a circle, right? That's a circle. That's going to make a nice circle for me. And that's at the base of that cone. Now, it says trace along the flat surfaces of this three-dimensional shape. And remember what this one is? This is a rectangular prism, remember, because it's got rectangles here. All right. And it says trace the flat surfaces of this shape to find the two-dimensional shape. So let's actually, let's get our regular pen. Let's do red this time. Well, let's do the pink. Let's see. Let's trace around these. So there's this. What do we think this shape is? No, let's check it. Okay, let's check. That is let's see here, a rectangle. We got a rectangle. Now let's see. Let's get another pen. How about this one here? Let's trace around this flat surface. Now, if we were going to lay this down and we laid it here on this right here, we wouldn't be able to push it over. It would be stable. You can lay it on it's flat. And let's check what that one is. Let's see. Well, that one here is another rectangle. So this little square here is for the other side that you can't see. So we know that there's a rectangle here, a rectangle up here. And I think what they're saying is on the other side that you can't see, there is a square. All right, now let's see. Now over here, let's use the eraser so we can show the one that we can see. Now that's the top one we traced. And here on that side, the other side we can't see, is another rectangle. On this front side, like we said, just like on the opposite side, is that square here, right there. There's that square. And that square is going to show up. Oops, I need an eraser. And that square is going to show up here. And then on the bottom, we can't see that one either, is another rectangle. All right. So this shape, this three-dimensional shape, on its flat surfaces has two squares, one on either end. And let's see, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. Excuse me, 4 rectangles. All right, now let's see what's next. Use three-dimensional shapes to trace around the flat surfaces. Circle the shapes that you draw. All right, I like this one. So we're going to see which shapes that we draw with our pen here. So if I trace this one, it's not going to be perfect, but we'll do the best we can. This shape, what shape is that, guys? 4 sides that are all the same length. We call that a square here. How about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, all the same length. Another square. How about up here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all the same length, and another square. So we found those are all squares that we can see. And of course, on the sides that we can't see, this is a cube. So there's going to be another 1, 2, 3 squares that we can't see. All right. So let's keep going. Now, circle the object you could trace to draw the shape. Now, what shape is this? Now, it doesn't say the exact shape. This is it's a rectangle. So this is a rectangle. It's got the opposite sides are the same length. Right? What are you saying? In a cube, the opposite sides are the same length too. That's true. In a square, excuse me. In a square, the opposite sides are the same length. That's true. A square is also a rectangle. I know. Boom. Blows your mind, right? Square is a rectangle. But is a rectangle a square? Rectangle's not a square. So square is a rectangle. But right now, let's focus on this rectangle. These opposite sides are the same length. Okay? And these opposite sides are the same length. So if I trace this little juice box here, what kind of, do you think that's grape? I hope that's, maybe it's prune, those little things there. I don't know. I would prefer grape, I think. So if we trace this, if we put it down flat, right, so it wouldn't roll over or flip, it would make a, well, that's even closer to a square, but this, so you can see this side is a little bit longer than the other. That would be a rectangle. How about this book? If we put this book, if we laid it down flat, if we laid a book down flat, and we trace the outside of it, let's just trace the outside right here. If we laid it down flat and traced around it with a pencil, it would be a rectangle, right? How about this one? What if we laid this down on its side? What would it do? It would roll. Look, I've got a cylinder here, and that's what that is, right? As you can see, I've got mine being safe as I can be. Got my Clorox wipes here. If I laid this down, what would happen on this side? It would roll. If I pushed it a little bit, it would move. But what if I did on this side and I pushed it a little bit? It would stay right there. These are the flat sides, right? And what are on these flat sides here? Just like on that cone, we've got, what shape is that, guys? That's a circle. So let's trace the flat side of this. And look, I got a little circle. Okay. So we can't get that one. We know we can get this one. We got a rectangle here. How about this one? This paint can is also a cylinder. It's a little bit larger than this one. And if you put it on this side, it would roll like this. But if you put it on the flat side is another circle. Let's trace that. If we flip that over, be another circle. So not the rectangle we're looking for. These are not the rectangles we're looking for. All right, anyway, good. Let's continue here. So this is pretty cool. I like this. So this is going to take each of our three-dimensional shapes and kind of like unfold them. If they were paper, you could cut along the edges and then it will unfold. Let's try that. So let's bring this cube in here. Cube, come on in. Oh, come on. All right, so it's going to take a second to load here. Here we go. Here's our cube. Now it says show net. A net is, again, when you take a three-dimensional shape and you flatten it out, right? So you can see this was the square that was folded up. This was the square folded this way. This was the square for the top. You can see that the cube is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares, right? All right, let's get rid of that one. My little sweeper, I like that little sound too. So here is a pyramid, just like the pyramids in Egypt. This is a pyramid. And then what I'm going to do, let's show the net of the pyramid and see what the pyramid is made up. Look at this. This has got a square at the base. This is called a square pyramid because it has a square at its base, but it's a pyramid and it's made up of triangles, a square, a triangle, right? And that is a pyramid. Well, this one's a common one. This one is a rectangular prism. We know that because it has rectangles. It also has a square, but remember, a square is a rectangle. So rectangular prism. Let's see what this one looks like. Very cool. It's got a square here, which is a rectangle, and then it's got rectangles on its sides, right? All rectangles here. So that's a rectangular prism. All right, let's sweep this one up. My computer's catching up here. Oh, there we go. Now let's look at this one. This is a little different. Can't really see it well from this angle, but let's see when we show the net. Well, what do we think this might be called? This has got triangles at its end. The last one was a rectangular prism because it had rectangles at its ends. This one, what do you think? You know what? Is it? Yeah, it's a triangular prism because it has two triangles at either end, right? So triangle, triangle, and then rectangles. Nice job. And what do we have here? What's this called? This looks like another what? Another pyramid. That's right. And let's show it. This is another pyramid, right? But this isn't a square pyramid, right? Because it's got a triangle at its base. Okay. So here we have, it's kind of a neat where it shows you what the 3D shapes are made of. So let's see. Now, let's look at this one. This one's a thinker right here. We got these hot problems here. That means I'm glad we warmed this thing up because we're going to need it. We don't want to burn it out. You got to warm it up, you know. Okay, it says circle the shape that the pattern will make if you fold it and tape it together. So if we were going to take this right here, okay, and fold it up and then put tape on the edges, what would it look like? Well, let's see. If I folded this piece here, if I folded this, oop, I don't know, that's not what I want. I want a pen. If I folded this piece over to meet this piece, it would come to a point right here. I'd have a point, wouldn't I? And then this I would have to fold up to be on the bottom. So I would want something with a circle on the bottom and a point at the top. Well, let's look at these two shapes. All right, well, look at this. It's got a circle on the top and it's got a circle on the bottom. That's a cylinder, but I don't think that's what we're looking for, right? Because we said a circle on the bottom and then a point at the top. Because if you put this down, tried to make that the bottom, let me tell you, it would fall right over. We need the flat surface, which would be this. So look at this one. This has got a circle on the bottom. You have to kind of use your imagination here. And then it's got a point at the top because we can't always see all the way around things. You have to use our imagination, use our like Superman X-ray vision and see right through it. All right. And I think it's this one, right? We've chosen, it's going to be this one. All right, excellent. So let's move ahead. Which flat surface does a cube have? Well, let's look. I've got a cube right here. This is Rubik's Cube, right? It's made up of lots of cubes, but it's also a cube. So if I look at this cube, what if I put it on a flat surface? Let's use our, again, let's here. If I put this down on a flat surface, it's not rolling over. This is a flat surface, I know. What is that? What shape is that? That shape, the whole thing, and even the little ones are squares, right? So we know that that cube has squares. So we're going to say C, right? Oh, sorry, D. It's a square, D. Again, doing our best, right? So we've talked a bunch about these. So let's look. Where do we see on three-dimensional shapes? We said this cylinder, it's got a circle at the bottom, right? Circle at both sides, two flats versus two circles. We talked about our cube, which has squares on all sides, right? Squares. Now, squares all the same length, right? Opposites are equal, all of them. They're all the same. And then we talked about the rectangular prism. A rectangular prism, rectangle. This one's all rectangles. Rectangle, rectangle. It can have some squares in it. Because remember, a square is a rectangle. But rectangle is not a square. I know. Let me tell you. This one has all rectangles, rectangular prism. And rectangles, remember, opposite sides are equal. Opposite. Not all the sides. They're not all equal to each other like in a square. And then we've got our cone, right? And this cone, flat, it's the only flat surface. If I go like this and, oh, no, that's not flat. If I tried to put it on, no, that's not going to work. It's because you can't balance it on the point. This is the flat surface, and that is a circle. Okay? Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed watching this and learned some about three-dimensional shapes and the two-dimensional shapes, the flat surfaces on those three-dimensional shapes. Miss you guys. Take care. Happy day. Bye.